On The Young and the Restless, Billy Abbott and his complicated relationship with Phyllis Summers and Sally Spectra are making waves not only in the Genoa City community but also in the hearts of viewers. The big question is Billy playing with fire, pushing his relationship with Sally to the brink of collapse as he begins to get closer to his ex, Phyllis? The bond between Billy and Phyllis after the traumatic kidnapping not only threatens his relationship with Sally but also brings up difficult questions about loyalty and indecision in love. The kidnapping and the shock for Phyllis. Martin Laurent's kidnapping has changed the lives of not only Phyllis and Sharon Newman but also deeply affected the relationships around them. When Phyllis and Sharon are trapped in a tense situation, they face the worst possible fate. And then, when Phyllis was finally rescued, she was not only suffering from physical injuries but also battling deep psychological trauma. The prolonged panic attack not only made her feel insecure but also made her weak and vulnerable. Billy, who had always had a special bond with Phyllis, came to her side immediately. He not only rescued her from a dangerous situation but also stood by her in her weakest moments. Billy's devoted care for Phyllis seemed unsurprising, but this rekindled old feelings between the two. The two had once had an emotional relationship, but betrayal and failed relationships had caused them to break up. However, the feelings still existed in their hearts, and Billy, despite being in a relationship with Sally, seemed unable to tear himself away from Phyllis. Billy and Phyllis. A relationship that's hard to explain. The relationship between Billy and Phyllis is an interesting and complicated one. On The Young and the Restless, they're people with tumultuous pasts, painful breakups, and wounds that can't be easily overcome. However, their close contact after the kidnapping has stirred up mixed feelings between them. Billy was the first to stand up for Phyllis when she fell into a state of panic after the event. He took her into his arms, helping her regain her composure and sense of security. This leaves viewers wondering, is Billy trying to rekindle an old flame with Phyllis? And are their feelings strong enough to make Billy betray Sally, with whom he's also in a significant relationship? Although Billy hasn't been completely open about his feelings for Phyllis, his actions clearly show a wavering heart. He can't seem to completely close the gap between him and Phyllis, and this makes his relationship with Sally tense and unstable. Sally and Audra. The battle for Billy's heart. On the other hand, Sally Spectra, who is increasingly falling for Billy and wants to build a future with him, begins to feel threatened in her relationship. Especially when she realizes that Phyllis is not only an old friend but also a deep emotional connection in Billy's past, she worries that Billy might return to his ex. To deal with this threat, Sally does not hesitate to seek support from her close friend Audra. Audra, always a sharp-eyed person when it comes to relationships, gives Sally advice on how to fight for Billy. But will Audra's advice be enough to keep Billy by her side, or will the unresolved feelings between Billy and Phyllis destroy her relationship with Billy? Sally and Audra's relationship is equally complicated, with Audra not always on board with Sally's handling of Billy's feelings. Although Sally is pouring her heart out to Billy, his past relationships may be a major factor in the stability of their relationship. Billy and the difficult choice. Billy Abbott is caught between two paths. On one side is Sally, whom he loves and wants to build a future with, and on the other is Phyllis, an ex with whom he still has feelings. While he can't deny the attraction Phyllis brings, he also knows that he can't go back to her after everything that happened in the past. Phyllis is not only a part of Billy's painful past, but she also brings a lot of instability to Billy's life. However, Billy cannot get away from her, which puts him in a difficult position. Caught between an old love and a new love, Billy must make a crucial decision. Will he continue his relationship with Sally and overcome the strange feelings Phyllis brings up, or will he choose to return to her and leave Sally alone? Billy is truly playing with fire, and the choice will affect not only him but also Sally and Phyllis, the two women who are fighting for his heart. Conclusion. An unpredictable outcome. It is certain that the relationship between Billy, Sally, and Phyllis will continue to be a hot topic on The Young and the Restless. The big question remains whether Billy will be decisive and loyal to Sally, or will he return to Phyllis and hurt the girl he loved. While Billy may not have intended to be unfaithful, the attraction of the past, the comfort of Phyllis, and the difficulty of letting go of a deep relationship are slowly complicating the situation. This relationship will continue to cause turmoil, and viewers will not be able to take their eyes off the next developments in this dramatic story. The drama surrounding Billy Abbott, Phyllis Summers, and Sally Spectra is shaping up to be one of the most dramatic and intense stories yet, not only emotionally but also professionally. As Billy continues to be torn between these two strong women, Sally must come to terms with the painful truth that her man, the man she trusted, is slowly being drawn into a dangerous game that Phyllis is playing. Billy Abbott and Phyllis, a past that cannot be left behind. Billy Abbott, who has always been prominent in Genoa City's business world, has never been one to give up easily on what he cares about. But when his ex, Phyllis Summers, returns with a crisis of her own, Billy can't help but throw himself into protecting her. For too long, those around him have seen Billy as someone who is willing to sacrifice himself for those he loves, and it is not surprising that he would devote himself to helping Phyllis again. However, what makes the story more complicated is that Phyllis not only seeks comfort from Billy, but she also subtly manipulates him in subtle ways. Phyllis pushes Billy to promise her son, Daniel Romalotti, that he will have the opportunity to participate in important Abbott projects if Daniel is willing. This is a clear move by Phyllis, showing her manipulation of Billy, making him hesitate and feel responsible for Daniel. This move not only hits Billy's natural protectiveness towards Phyllis but also inflames the conflicts in his heart. Although Phyllis appears weak and in need of protection, she cleverly uses that weakness as a tool to make Billy do what she wants. Billy, with the nature of a responsible man, accepts Phyllis's proposal. He agrees that everything will happen on his own terms, which not only shows a change in Billy's decision but also creates an unprecedented tension between him and Sally. Sally Spectra. The woman who faces betrayal while Billy is gradually drawn into the game that Phyllis has set up, Sally Spectra, whom he is in love with, stands outside and witnesses everything. Sally has always been confident and assertive, but seeing Billy spend so much time with Phyllis, taking care of her and protecting her, makes her feel insecure. Although Sally understands the complexities of the relationship between Billy and Phyllis, she cannot help but feel that she is being abandoned. She can't help but feel betrayed when she sees Billy, the person she trusted, begin to engage in mind games with Phyllis, who is not only an ex-lover but also a part of Billy's dark past. During a tense confrontation at Abbott, Sally holds nothing back. She confronts Billy and criticizes him, calling him too nice to the Phyllis storm he's been involved in. What hurts Sally the most is not Billy helping Phyllis, but how Phyllis manipulated him, making Billy take a back seat in their relationship. Phyllis knows that Billy has a strong protective instinct, and she uses that to her advantage. While Sally can only watch, her anxiety and fear grow. Sally can't help but warn Billy that Phyllis is a saboteur, someone who she believes could destroy not only Billy's personal relationship with her, but also their careers. Phyllis is not only Billy's ex, but someone who has the potential to cause major disasters in his life if she isn't stopped. Sally can't stand by as Billy continues to get caught up in Phyllis's schemes, and she knows that if she doesn't act now, everything will fall apart. Professional and romantic relationships, a turbulent battle. This situation is not only about complicated romantic relationships but also a fierce battle in the business world. Billy and Sally, after working together, have made great strides in developing their careers and business projects. However, the appearance of Phyllis and her tricks are threatening not only Billy and Sally's personal relationship but also the business they have worked so hard to build. Sally is right to warn Billy that Phyllis is a potential danger. Phyllis, with her scheming and manipulative nature, can easily destroy what Billy and Sally have built together. Although Billy may think he is just helping Phyllis in her time of need, in reality, he is slowly falling into a trap that Phyllis has set for him, and if he does not quickly realize this, everything may collapse. The relationship between Billy, Sally, and Phyllis is at a crossroads. Billy must choose between continuing to protect Phyllis, who has been an important part of his life, and remaining in love with Sally, whom he has chosen as his life partner. Meanwhile, Sally, with her sharpness and determination, is constantly fighting to keep the man she loves, but she also has to face the painful truth that Phyllis is constantly sabotaging their relationship. Conclusion: love, betrayal, and decisions. The battle between love and betrayal is reaching its climax on The Young and the Restless. Billy Abbott is caught between two important women in his life, and every decision he makes could change everything. Sally and Phyllis, two complete opposites, are fighting for Billy's heart and attention. Phyllis's appearance, with her elaborate schemes and tricks, not only threatens her relationship with Billy, but may also put his career and future in jeopardy. Ultimately, the question is whether Billy is sober enough to realize that he is being manipulated by Phyllis, or will he let his kindness and protective instincts cloud the important decisions in his life. The story between Sally Spectra, Billy Abbott, and Phyllis Summers continues to become tense and dramatic. After witnessing Phyllis's emotional manipulation of Billy, Sally begins to feel like she is no longer the only important person in Billy's life. Not only are their romantic and professional relationships tested, but they are also pushed to new limits. The appearance of Audra Charles, Sally's close friend, makes things even more complicated as she constantly urges Sally to find a way to protect her relationship at all costs. Sally and Phyllis, a battle for control. Ever since Billy and Sally began a relationship, their relationship has always faced difficult challenges. Billy, with his protective and open personality, could not resist helping Phyllis when she was in trouble. After the kidnapping that Phyllis faced, Billy was the first one to come to her side, comforting and protecting her. Not only did this make Sally feel insecure, but it also made her feel a potential threat from Phyllis, who she knew was not only Billy's ex-lover but also a complicated, scheming relationship. Phyllis, who was always good at manipulating other people's emotions, did not miss this opportunity to drag Billy into her fight. She not only used her feelings to make Billy feel responsible for protecting her, but also dragged him into her dark plans at work. Sally, who witnessed everything from the outside, could not sit still as she saw Billy getting more and more caught up in the trap that Phyllis had set. Phyllis was not only an ex-lover but also a formidable opponent in Billy's career, and Sally knew that if she did not act, she would lose the man she loved and the career she had worked so hard to build. A conversation with Audra, a risky advice. As the situation escalates, Sally turns to her close friend Audra Charles at Crimson Lights for some comfort and reassurance. Their conversation starts off lighthearted, but turns more serious when Audra confronts Sally about Phyllis's relationship with Billy. Audra, always blunt and sharp, doesn't hesitate to ask if Sally thinks Phyllis wants more than just a working relationship with Billy. Sally, despite sensing that Phyllis has other intentions, tries to convince herself that Billy will never go down that path with Phyllis again. However, Audra doesn't let Sally back down. She urges Sally to take stronger action, even playing dirty, to protect her relationship. Audra, with her experience in the industry and relationships, believes that Sally needs to fight not only for love but also for her career. While Sally seems to want to keep her honest and straightforward stance, Audra believes that in the world of complicated relationships, the truth doesn't always solve problems. Instead, Sally needs to find a way to protect her interests, and that might mean stopping Phyllis at all costs. Sally faces a choice. Audra's advice doesn't stop there. She also makes a bold suggestion: replace Phyllis with Audra as Billy's business partner. This could be an extremely shocking and risky move for both Billy and Sally. Although Sally never thought of engaging in a competitive strategy with Phyllis in this way, seeing the situation becoming more and more complicated, she begins to rethink Audra's advice. If Sally takes this advice seriously and decides to replace Phyllis in Billy's job, it will be a move that could leave Billy reeling. Their relationship may never be the same again, as Sally chooses to approach the situation in a completely different way. This move could not only cause Billy to lose trust in Sally, but also create a ripple effect in the working world they are both trying to build. However, if she acts decisively, Sally could once again assert herself in the relationship and regain control. Love and career. A no-hold battle. The battle between Sally and Phyllis is not just about love, but also about power and career. Every decision Sally makes now not only affects her love life, but could also change the landscape of the industry she and Billy are in. Phyllis is not only a formidable rival in Billy's romantic relationship, but also a person with far-reaching influence at work. Sally, whether she wants it or not, has to face the fact that Phyllis will not give up Billy easily, and if she does not act strongly, everything she has built will be threatened. Meanwhile, Billy is caught between two important women in his life, wondering what to do to keep both love and career. He loves Sally, but his relationship with Phyllis is much more complicated. It is a relationship that is not only about love but also about work, family, and his past. Billy's difficult choice between Sally and Phyllis is creating a wave of turmoil not only in his life but also in the professional and romantic relationships of all involved. Conclusion: Phyllis's threat and Sally's decision. In the end, this situation is not only an emotional battle but also a battle to protect what Sally has built. The relationship with Billy, despite its conflicts and challenges, is still something Sally wants to preserve. However, the appearance of Phyllis and her scheming plans may destroy it all. Sally must decide whether to follow Audra's advice and replace Phyllis in Billy's job, or whether to take a different path to protect what she loves. With each step, Sally finds herself pushed further into a corner, where her love and career are at risk of falling apart. Will she have the strength to keep Billy and her career together, or will she pay the price for the decisions she has made? Only time will tell. Things are about to fall into chaos as seemingly stable relationships are suddenly tested by unexpected factors. Next week, the story of Billy Abbott, Phyllis Summers, and Sally Spectra promises to reach dramatic and emotional climaxes. The relationship between Billy and Phyllis is gradually showing signs of change, as the two become closer, which not only threatens Billy and Sally's feelings but also raises the question of whether a cheating scandal is taking place in the shadows. Sally's breakdown when faced with feelings of betrayal from Adam Newman's past, combined with the instability in Billy's relationship, will certainly make this love triangle more complicated and confusing than ever. Old relationships and betrayal. Billy Abbott has always been a charming man, but also a bit fickle at times. Although he has had stable relationships, his past is not without its flaws. Billy's habits, especially when it comes to the women in his life, have always had complicated results. Despite his attachment to Sally Spectra, a strong and determined woman, Billy cannot completely let go of his old relationship with Phyllis. Phyllis has always been an elusive woman who has the ability to soften the hearts of anyone, even strong men like Billy. Their relationship is never simple. Despite Billy's commitment to Sally, he cannot ignore Phyllis's charms, especially in times when she is struggling and in need of comfort. Phyllis's vulnerability makes her more vulnerable than ever, and Billy, protective and deeply empathetic by nature, cannot help but stand by her. However, these things not only make Billy and Sally's relationship unstable, but also open up the possibility of a cheating scandal that may be coming. Can Billy continue to keep his promise to Sally? Or will he continue to fall back into old habits when he is attracted to a charming woman like Phyllis? This question not only haunts Billy but also makes Sally wonder if she can completely trust the man she has fallen in love with. Sally, a painful relationship and betrayal. Sally Spectra has faced pain in her relationships, especially with Adam Newman, whom she once trusted. Adam caused Sally to suffer deep betrayal, and those wounds have not yet healed. When she begins a new relationship with Billy, Sally thinks she has found a man who can give her the security and happiness she has been craving. However, the ghosts of the past still haunt her, and when Phyllis appears, all her insecurities come flooding back. Phyllis, with her past tricks and schemes, is not someone Sally can easily ignore. Although she does not want to let the past affect her relationship with Billy, when she sees him starting to be attracted to Phyllis, Sally cannot help but feel worried. Billy and Phyllis's relationship is not only a complicated emotional relationship but also a psychological war. Phyllis, with her sharpness and ability to manipulate emotions, is trying to break the relationship between Billy and Sally. She knows that once she has Billy in her sights, things will become very difficult for Sally. When Sally realizes that Billy is being drawn to Phyllis's charm, she not only feels betrayed but also helpless. Her painful past with Adam continues to haunt and devastate her. These unresolved wounds, combined with the feeling of abandonment by Billy, leaves Sally with a difficult choice. Can she continue to love Billy, knowing that he is still torn by the woman in his life?